Hi Floss Tube. Well, today's episode, that sounds so funny, doesn't it? Today's episode is going to be more vlog style. I'm up in Portland and there's 2 or 3 different things going on, so I wanted to take you along on this weekend. It's a special weekend for me because my childhood girlfriend from high school, my high school bestie, we are still extremely close, and even though our lives are in 2 different states and you know we're busier, we're both extremely busy, she and I make an effort every year to spend our birthday weekend together, either here in Portland or in San Francisco. And so this year she's coming north. So she's coming tomorrow. So I drove up over the mountain, and first stop in Portland was Acorns and Threads. Oh, I came with a mission, and that was to kit up a few things. So I want to share that with you. It was like arriving in a very magical place. Yes, it was awesome. And luckily for me, I came at the perfect time because Jolene had some time to do some special ed with me, cross-stitch special ed. And so I felt very supported in my education. And you know that later in this video I will show you the shop because I will have taken the class. So I'm going to do a little bit of videoing at the shop, and I wanted to show you that. But I'm here up at our condo in Portland. We have a place right downtown, so that view you saw at the beginning was outside the front of our condo. We're on the 2nd floor right near the Portland Art Museum. So lots of activity down here. We love it. There's, you know, the museums across the street, restaurants everywhere. The park blocks is 1 block over. All the shopping, you know, we love Portland. And we come here regularly because both our kids are here and both our grandsons are here. So that's why we spend so much time here. But since this is like a big open area, it's just me here this weekend with my girlfriend. So I know you want to hear about what happened at Acorns and Threads. Oh my gosh, I made an effort to bring up patterns that I wanted to kit up because I wanted to have them all ready to go. The funny thing was, when I walked into Acorns and Threads, Jolene was, you know, taking me by the hand, and it was so sweet. She was explaining everything to me, and you know, it's amazing to me that having calculated medications, and I will say I was a good nurse, the whole cross-stitch thing, the cross-stitch math, thank God no one's life depends on it, because I'm not sure why I'm having, maybe it's because I'm older, maybe that's it, I don't know. But the cross-stitch math is challenging for my brain. And that's why all this time I have been just going into Acorns and Threads and picking out a project and having them put everything together for me, so I don't even have to think about it. But Jolene really led me around the shop with each project I wanted to kit up. And if they didn't have the fabric that was called for, she talked about all the other fabrics available and the colors. and I was just, it's so, I mean, the customer service in Acorns and Threads is by far the best I have ever seen anywhere. Yeah, there should be more businesses like that for sure. So I wanted to show you what I have done. Oh, so Janine, I had this whole bag of pieces of fabric, and I'm not going to take them out because they're in order, that I didn't know what the fabric was and what count it was. And oh my gosh, Janine was so great. She went through each piece, told me what the count was, what kind of fabric it was, and what count it was. I mean, so all that loose fabric I had, including that piece I was going to use for the Raven's reply, it's in this bag. So now I know everything I have. I'm so excited about that. So I came up with this big envelope of projects I wanted to have kitted. And I picked out fabric, and you know, they just make you feel so good. They make you feel so good about your choices. And I brought an empty project bag, my awesome empty project bag. This one was by Wendy. Long hair all over it. And because it's the creepy one, you know, it's the creepy project bag, I'm putting the booby in there. Yes, because I'm starting that. Booby. Yes. In zit. And then Jolene helped me pick the fabric out for it, and I had all the thread, so I was really happy about that. So that's going to go right now into that project bag. I want to start that. I'm going to start that this weekend. Oh, look at it. Bloop, going right in. It's already half done. Then the next project was this, and it's interesting because I can't remember where exactly I got that. It's all in French, and wherever I got it, my name is printed on it and my email address is printed on it. But I decided to use this design, not in this configuration, but long ways, to put on the top of that wooden box that old wooden box that I got at the antique store. And I'm going to mount it on the top of that. And oh, I tell you, you almost don't even have to have an opinion, because Jolene just has awesome artistic eye about it, you know. So I picked this fabric out for that. She gave me 2 or 3 choices, and I like this one the best. It's a Belfast linen, 32 count, dark chocolate. Yummy. And then look at how this thread will be the scissors, and it's Weeks Dye Works Sanguine. But look at how that looks together. Oh yeah, gonna be awesome. So I can't wait to do that one either. I can't wait to do all my projects. Now last winter when I was down in Tucson, or actually, yeah, I went to Mesa to meet my friend Becky, and she took me to the Addict. This was the book that I got there. It's a blackbird design, and from what I understand, this was a very popular So Long projects in there from last year, but I really loved this project. So I picked out fabric, and the fabric I picked out is a Belfast linen 32 count willow green. Oh man, it's yummy. And then it's a combination of Gentle Arts and Weeks Dye Works. So I just, oh, you just have to see this. These colors are just so amazing on that fabric. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, so I'm really excited to start this one. And I wanted to be sure to have my pattern that I'm using for my birthday start all kitted up. So as you know, I chose this, the Shores of Hawk Run Hollow, and they have the Halloween one, the Carriage House Samplings Halloween project, all done and hanging up in the shop, and it was all done in DMC, and so it was awesome. I loved how that one looked. So I chose all the called floored. I am floored by what I did today. I am floored. But I am using all the called for DMC. You know, there's this whole list. Now you can use silk, but I'm a little bit timid. I'm on the new side, and after the wool debacle with the little house, I'm wanting to be really careful about, and it was a lot of thread. So I did all of the called for DMCs for this, which is my birthday start. And I wasn't real keen. You know, it's funny. It's kind of like in the quilting world. I think you could make a whole bunch of money being a photographer for cross stitch and quilting, because some of the pictures that are taken of projects just almost look downright ugly, and when you see them in real life, they're just absolutely gorgeous. But I wasn't real. I mean, I loved the theme of the Shores of Hawk Run, but I was not real happy with the way the fabric was for the actual stitching, nor the fabric used out here. That color, I mean, it just was but ugly. Maybe I shouldn't say that. It's that didn't photograph well. It probably was absolutely gorgeous. Okay, if you know anyone from Carriage House, don't tell them I said that. But I did love the project. So what I did was Jolene, the JJ girls, Jolene and Jolene and Janine, oh my gosh. Jolene picked out 2 or 3 different colors of fabric and what was really fun was that Janine is also working on this. In fact, she has a life goal. I wonder how old she is. She has a life goal of stitching all the Carriage House sampling. Wow. I hope she believes in reincarnation. That's the only way you get all of those done. Well, she's actually doing this one, so it was great too. And she did not use the called for fabric either. So this is like a buffet of thread. I mean, this is like a buffet of DMC for sure. But this, I hope this can come out. It's kind of it's called Lakeside Linen 36 count Tundra. It's kind of a grayish green color, very light, but the colors of the thread, oh my God, it looks spectacular. Yes. And by having these kitted, I feel like they're already half done. The really cool thing was that while I was there, I was picking their brains, and Janine gave me these little things because, she stitches in hand, and I was asking her, what kind of hoop she uses for this, and she says she stitches in hand. And so I said, oh, so how do you keep it clean? Because now I see people are making bonnets for their frames. I'm like, this is more work to get work done. But she gave me these to try. They're called peels, and you roll up your fabric, the excess fabric, so that you don't stitch it back together. You know how sometimes I quilt my pants to my project? Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But these are these little rubber things, and you roll up your fabric, and then these are soft and clip to keep the fabric all gathered up. I am excited to try these, and she was so sweet to give them to me. So that is it. There's nothing else in here for what I kitted up at Acorns and Threads. Of course, I'm going back there on Sunday for class, but today's mission was to kit these things up. Sunday's mission is to not only learn from the class, but to then relax and shop. So, and there's a whole bunch of stuff there. So I'll call this video right now. We'll stop here and we'll pick it up a little bit later. Hello, Floss Tube. This is part 2 of this week's vlog. I think that's what it's called. Video log. Yes. So today is Sunday, and my girlfriend from high school just left. The taxi picked her up and took her to the airport. And she's flying back to her home. It was special to be with her this weekend. It only happens for us, seems like once a year, because we're both so busy. So I'm getting ready for class today. Yes, class is today. It is pouring in Portland. The last 2 days have been fabulous. We went and saw Where Are You, Bernadette? At the Living Room Theater here in town, which was a great movie. But as with all things, the book, which I had just finished this week, the book was like, what the heck's going on? So it was fun for me to see a movie so soon after I finished reading the book. But I would recommend Where Are You, Bernadette as a good read, because you're just trying to, it really hooks you. It really hooks you. And in the movie, Kate Blanchett is Bernadette. So this afternoon I get to have lunch today with Marion the librarian. Yeah, she's not really a librarian. I should stop calling her that, but everybody calls her that from the Music Man. And because I'm going to need her help. 2 things I discovered this week were, 1, I do need a magnifier light. I can actually stitch on 40 count here in the, well, not today, it's too rainy and cloudy, but on a sunny day I can really see the grid. But I know the majority of the time I'm not going to be able to see the grid on 40 count, so I have been picking her brain on what she's using for her magnifier light. So I'm looking forward to figuring that out, because I can't even read my instructions. So this is the sal we're doing. It's and that's on Instagram. So if you want to join us, I always don't say it right, so I'm gonna look it up just to be sure that I am saying it correctly. And it is hashtag Never Raven Sal. Never Raven Sal. So there's two R's, you know, at the hooking up together, kind of like a cross stitch. But so I hope some of you will join us on this journey. I know that our favorite person from Luminous Fiber Arts, who designed the pattern, is excited about there being a sal, and there's a couple others I think on Instagram, but this is the one that Marion and I are doing. So, and Sandy from BC is signed up for it. She's waiting for her pattern. So thank you, Misty. And then I can't wait to get home, because you know, I'm gonna get my my very special needle minder, Raven needle minder, which I'll wait to share that when it actually comes in the mail. But last night when I was trying to start this project, yes, that looks the same as it did when I posted the first picture. And the only reason being is I was going, something doesn't seem right by the way I was doing it. And so I went back and actually read the instructions. Really? You have to read the instructions? This is why I'm going to school. This is like, this class is on a Sunday, you know, it's like remedial, like I always think of a, you know, summer school. It's kind of like, even though it's not summer. So I'm doing this on 40 count on the called for fabric that Misty dyed. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I was thinking that it looked funny, and then I said I need to just double check the instructions. And it says stitched using one strand of floss over 2 threads. Yeah, I did the whole top line with 2 strands. I was thinking this looks like a giant, you know, marker pen across there. So I had to rip it out. Yeah, I ripped it all out because this is special fabric. That is no way I'm gonna waste it. So I had to rip it all out and start over. And now I'm on the move. I'm on the move with our Never Raven Sal. So please join us. Please join us. And then, you know, because I finished the peppermint one, I decided I needed something that I could see a little bit better at night to stitch on while my friend was here. And so I just decided to start on boobies, boobies, boobies. That so cracks me up. But I did something wrong, and I cannot figure out what I did wrong. I've struggled and struggled and struggled with it. I've counted and recounted, and you know, so I got this far, and now that B is not fitting like the chart. And I'd like to say, this chart is wrong. But I have a feeling it might be me, and I just can't see where the mistake is. So I am actually taking this with me to class. And when I have lunch with Marion, I'm going to give it to her first to see if she can figure it out before I embarrass myself with Janine. And then I'm going to, if she can't figure it out, what the heck I did, because I hate to rip out that whole thing. I think it would be impossible to rip out that. Yeah, I would just leave it. I mean, stuff like that really doesn't freak me out. I don't lose sleep over it. I usually can adjust it, and I'm not I don't care a lot about the mistakes. But in this particular case, the mistake that I made is making the bee bump up against the edge of the little flyer, and so there's no background thread around the bee to really make it pop, and I really do want that. So I'm gonna try to figure out what the heck I did and see if someone there can help me. So I'm taking this my Halloween project bag. Yes, yes. And there's certain things that I do while I'm here in Portland that are just, you gotta do them, you know. Blue Star donuts, because they're vegan. Not all the donuts, they have 4 choices of vegan donuts and a gazillion other choices. But you know, I'm not a donut person, I'm a bagel person, but when in Portland, eat donuts. So we went and got the donuts, and we went to the movie, and we always go to Powell's bookstore. And so since I had a empty spot in my brain, actually, according to my MRI, there's a cyst in the very center of my brain, and so I am calling that the recycling bin. And so things that I don't know obviously have ended up in that black hole, and that means it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. So I went, Powell's is if you're not from the Pacific Northwest, you might not know this. Powell's is the largest independent bookstore in the nation, maybe in the world. And it takes up one whole city block in Portland, and is filled with new books and used books. So, and then they have a rare book room. So you can really spend hours there. And they even give you a map when you walk in if you're not familiar with it. And each of the genres are divided by color. So the orange room, the red room, the purple room, the blue room. The pearl room is where the rare books are. And on the same floor as the pearl room, which is the top floor, it's 3 stories. And then there's half stories. There is where all the quilting and the craft and the needle art and photography, all the art books are on that same floor as the pearl room. And then they have a coffee shop, because actually you get lightheaded from all the shopping. I decided I would look for cross-stitch books, just to look, because they'll have a combination of new and used. And although I did not find a cross-stitch book that spoke to me, I did find, and they had 2 or 3 different ones, but this one I really liked, and I thought it could help in my education. Yep, it's a gallery of American samplers, and it gives the whole history, and then there's like color plates. It's a gorgeous book. And what I like best about these books is, look at the vibrant colors in those samplers. I think this is going to help me. And sometimes what I love about these used books is that there's here's tucked in one of the pages is this binder paper written with notes from somebody who was looking up something having to do with samplers. So I'm going to keep that in this book. And this A Gallery of American Samplers is by Glee Kruger, with more than 100 illustrations. So I think that's going to be fun. And what's really cool, oh, look at this one on the back. I mean, the colors are absolutely stunning. I bought this for $10.95. Yeah, yeah. How cool is that? And I just think these are so beautiful. And it's probably going to explain a lot to me. And yes, a lot of you have suggested Kitten Stitcher. Love her. And I know she's going to Galleria. I don't even know what that is, but I want to go, whatever that is. Unfortunately, I have class today. But it was fun to hear her get excited, and I got excited about something I had no idea what it was. So there you go. So that's going to end part 2, because I have to get ready for school.
We're going to go in depth into linen, but this is just a very brief thing. You're going to go up to and over to, and I'll get back to that later. But this is the difference between cloth and. So what I did was I took off the pieces I wanted to hang my last home and hung them up with silk pins. So I just took this. You can see the pressed places. Anyway, but you just run your finger vertically and horizontally below those pieces that are hanging up there. Yeah.
Good to know.
This
is that over
This is a good example of, yes, it is over 2. And one of the pieces I did, stocking, it took me like a full year. And we were talking about speed of stitching. I don't pay attention to that, but it took me a long time. It was really intricate. And I always tell people to do your back stitching as you go if you have back stitching on your piece, because I waited to the end. I hate back stitching. So I waited to the end. It took me 4 months.
Whoa.
So
back
much.
stitching?
I think
The outline stitch.
there's kind of less back stitch.
There's a lot of less back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
I still like how it looks.
It makes
like-
a difference.
Yeah.
I think it's like when you color in a color book and black green.
So but it had 2. It was a little girl's bedroom, and it had 2 little. You don't want to use woolite. Everyone thinks woolite is safe. It's not. It has whitening agents in it, and it can yes. So don't use woolite. But there's instructions there, step by step with all of that. So yeah. It is not just regular tape. It's an archival quality tape. But yeah. So this is foam core, which has paper on the outside and foam on the inside. They'll put it on there and just put pins in it, and then just slide it like that. We've had somebody running elsewhere, and it's not so much where you take things to the screen. I always just try to do something unobtrusive. I know you can show some or you can.
Good morning, Floss Tube. This is the final chapter of this vlog. Today I head back over the mountain, back home. Got to get ready for a camping trip, but I wanted to really share with you my experience at Acorns and Threads yesterday at my class. So you'll have seen some shots. I naturally couldn't film the whole class because we want you to take the class. So I just put some snippets you'll see in there of the shop, and I didn't do a video of the whole shop. I was amazed at Jennifer. She was our instructor at Acorns and Threads, and I'm still a little sleepy. Okay, I think I need a sip of coffee because, I'm dreaming here about that class. There were people in the class, there was like 10 of us, I think, and there were people in the class who have cross-stitched for a long time. There was JoJo, who sat next to me, and she is just starting cross-stitch, and so the class truly is for everyone who cross-stitch, because there were some things I learned that I, so far in my floss tube adventure, have not heard or seen, and so I'm going to share that, a couple of those things with you. Jennifer, our instructor, was absolutely wonderful, and she tried real hard to keep us all on track. Of course, you've got 10 people with 10 different levels, but every single person enjoyed that class. And it was called, like a stitching part 2, and I thought that meant I missed part 1, but no, it was a class for people who have already at least taken up a needle, although JoJo, who is a spectacular stitcher, is new to cross-stitch. She was very much, I could tell, enjoying the class. And they talked specifically about fabrics and needles and terms. And that's the thing. I'm such a visual learner that when I read things, I read so fast. My father read, both of my parents were prolific readers, but my father in that family line, somehow reading is really different, and I found out during college days that, I could easily read a book a day, but because the way I was reading was in snapshots. I am not a person who reads every word, and so it's like my mind is taking a picture of the paragraph and getting the information. And so I think it was like War and Peace or Harry Potter, those kind of books where I'd be like a chapter down the road and I would go, who is that? And I'd have to go back because of the way my mind reads. So it was interesting to me. It was very interesting to me because I was stumbling on some problems, which, oh my gosh, before class, I met my friend Marion, the librarian, at McMiniman's is across the parking lot from Acorns and Threads. So, truly, if you needed nourishment or a drink because of your cross stitch, you're right across the parking lot. But I specifically brought a project with me for her to figure out what I did wrong. I was going, I don't see it, and I think it's because of the way my brain works. It snapshots things, and so I had been stuck on this project. I said, naturally I said, I think the designer charted it wrong. Of course, it couldn't be me. So I showed it to her and I said, and here's my thing, and you see if you can figure it out, because I don't want to take this into the shop and have Janine figure it out, because I'll be so embarrassed, you know, because a lot of times when I'm the most fused about being right, whether it's G and I having a heated discussion, or I'm lost in traffic and I'm like, this map sucks. I know that when I am the most fused about something, that I have to take a step back, because most likely I'll be wrong and my brain can't wrap its mind around it. So yeah, my brain won't accept that I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm not sure my heart would either, but that's not here nor there. I mean, yeah, it's a crazy existence. All of us in here are arguing all the time. So I took this project and I said, I'm not sure, the chart might be wrong, there's something wrong, I'm stuck, and I can't figure it out. And you know, it's not rocket science. It's a pretty simple pattern. I mean, it's all, oh, I can't show you that chart. I just learned that. I can't show you the chart. But it's pretty simple. That's another thing. I'm flabbergasted that if I showed the chart, someone would actually freeze the frame and take a copy of it. That's, boy, do I live in Wonderland or something. But so I handed it to Marion, and she said, well, it's right. And I said, no, see, that color's not supposed to back up to this color. And she's like, well, it doesn't. It's right in the right spot. And then I looked back, and I had spent a good half hour the night before counting 20 times my stitches on this little project, because this designer was wrong about how she charted the chart. Oh God, you know, if I wasn't heading to cross stitch class, I would have definitely had a drink at McMillan's. So, but then I was so happy, because yay, I don't have to rip it out. Because I did have to rip out my my lovely project. Oh, my lovely, yes, I did have to rip that out. My one line. And so I am I couldn't figure out, was this 40 count? I said, I need a magnifier or something. There's something wrong with these stitches. And so it absolutely couldn't be me. So I'm like, maybe I should read the directions. Maybe I should read the directions again. And so I'm reading along, and this is on 40 count. And it says, stitched using 1 strand of floss over 2 threads. Moi did 2 strands. And so I had this big, like, it looked like this giant fat worm done with like a Sharpie, a thick Sharpie pen. So I did have to take that out, because, you know, this fabric was sent to me, you know, specially dyed from Luminous Fiber Arts. So, and I like it so much better. So yes, the journey is still happening. And then on this project, because I didn't want to cut off the extra fabric, I used those little things that Janine had given me, these little rubber things. You can call Acorns and Threads and get some of those, but you roll your fabric up, they're like silicone, and you just clip them on, and so all my excess fabric is there. And because I use my stitch pillow, the weight of that in hand isn't a problem. Yeah, and I really like that because it's not messing up my extra fabric. And then I'll cut the extra fabric off when I get my whole black line around. Then I'll know for sure what the size. So yeah, that was the adventure yesterday. You may remember how I was earlier telling you how these, I kind of like this size, but not, because it was too hard to work on the back. You know, when you want to do your nail. Well, I learned in class that these Q-snaps are meant for the stitching surface to be on the outside. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that? Because no one told me that this was in here the wrong way. Yeah, and so your pretty surface, if I call this the pretty surface, is supposed to be on the inside, and then it stays, not only does it stay clean, but the stitching surface is on the top side where you can reach everything. Come on, people, you know I'm having a hard time here. Someone must have known this was in wrong. Yeah, so I have to switch this out and flip it over. And then I think I'm gonna just love this thing, because that makes total sense to me. So that class at Acorns and Threads was by far worth every penny. And I was amazed because there were some quilt roadie people in there, you know, which was like really heartwarming. I mean, it was just so heartwarming to know that when you're like regurgitating your life onto the camera, that there's people that that watch or read what you're doing, and that they're getting some benefit from it. It's not just me using my camera as a therapy session. So that was fun, meeting quilt roadie people and new stitch roadie people. So that filled my heart, and I thank you all again for hanging out with me. So I know that you know I did not go to my class and not come home with something new. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're sitting there for 3 hours, and you have to know I do come from a genetic family line of ADHD, but I was really, really good. I stayed in my seat for a good hour and a half, and that's because it's in the middle of the shop, so I could visually be stimulated. But on the 2-hour mark, I was getting up and walking around, but I could still hear everything because, you know, the table is in the center of the shop, and so I'm listening to Jennifer, and I go back and sit down, and then I get up and go get some M&Ms, and then go back and sit down, and then I go up and get some M&Ms and take them to JoJo, and then go, you know. So yeah, I once took a class from Jean Yeager, and she said next time she's bringing duct tape to keep me in my seat. Yeah, I was that kind of child in school. So I really did learn a lot, but I also was shopping visually, and then as soon as there was any kind of break, I was like out there. So let's see, what did I get? Okay, I used my gorgeous little bead book for notes. And then, oh, and you get this whole leaflet of notes, so that if you don't remember anything, Jennifer put together this whole class. I just love it. So let's see, so when she was passing around, this is what happened. She was passing around pieces of fabric so we could all feel them and understand the, you know, how you guys know the count and like 32 count, 28 count, Ada, linen, all that, all those terms. So she was passing around pieces of fabric for us to feel. And so I was like in the middle of the table, and this piece of fabric, can you see that? It has snowflakes printed on it. Let me see. I'll put it on my stitch pillow. No, that doesn't work. Oh well. There's little blue, light blue snowflakes printed on this. And it's a even weave 28 count snowflake. So this little piece was coming around for us to feel it and look at it. And I noticed it had a price tag on it. And so when it got to my spot, I said, "Can I buy this?" And she said, "Yes." And so then it didn't go any further than me. "I'm sorry," I said, "I'm sorry, you can't actually touch this one because it's mine. I bought it." And so then all of a sudden the fabric was coming around and people were buying the fabric before it got to me, you know. So I just thought this was absolutely an adorable backdrop for some cute little, you know, new project. So I got that little piece, and then I actually think, you know, I should have looked at my phone to make sure, but I know I don't have this squared. I think I had this in a rectangle, but I'm going to take that out so you can see it. But it came with the floss, so it's all the, these are classic color works. Oh, these are so pretty. Classic color works. So that is a little house pattern, Home of the Needleworker Squared, and then it had these beautiful, beautiful colors. So I think that's going to be fun. So then I had to ask Janine to get me some fabric. So this is going to be done on Belfast linen 32 count natural. Oh, just look at that. Those colors are just, yeah. Oh, the sun has come up. It was a little dark this morning. I woke up early. The sun has come up. And then I saw Marion buying this floss, so by gosh, I had to buy this floss because it must be important floss if she was buying it. So I bought 2 skeins of that. It's a DMC 3865 white. I just thought, oh, it must be an important color. And then I got a couple needle packs because I come all the way to Portland. One needle. I came with one needle. I mean, it's like I needed security guards to walk with me because I only had one needle, and if I lost it, there was going to be, you know, I'm going to have Homeland Security shut down the downtown area to look for it. So I told Janine, I came to Portland with one needle. I mean, who does that? Moi. So I bought a couple packs of needles. And because of all this stuff on FlossTube, I started worrying about missing out on something. You know, that FlossTube is it kind of reminds me of myself as a child when once in a while my parents would let me watch TV and I would just kind of zone out. Yeah. So everyone was talking about this. It's a Blackbird Design Sisters book. And I was taken by the way the wording on Sisters was written, because it reminded me of script that I had seen in my own town of Sisters. And it's filled with, can you see that? So, I bought the last copy at Acorns and Threads. Yeah. I don't know when I'll make something out of here, but there is, I'll show you my favorite one. Let's see. Oh, these are, the whole sampler thing is fascinating to me. Oh, this is, I just think that is so lovely. Yeah, so I was happy to get the book, Sisters by Blackbird Design. Oh, this Halloween one says, the script reads, "At first cock crow, the ghosts must go back to their quiet graves below." How creepy. Oh, I love it. So that was the haul from class. And I'm going to just wrap this one up here. Of course, because of the type of video that I filmed this weekend, G is going to have to help me edit. So hopefully this will be out in a timely manner. In the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful stitch time. And the next time I'll be coming from a campground. So take care, have fun, and keep sharing.